Okay guys, before we get into my journey through ArcheAge, I just want to quickly credit Gamigo and their live stream yesterday, and how hard they're working on everything and like how transparent they are. And overall, just it felt that they're really passionate about this. So a lot of issues that I'm going to talk about in this video will be already addressed from them in the live stream yesterday, although not entirely, and also with very vague timeframes, but still addressed. So keep everything with or take everything with a little bit of a grain of salt here. I will leave the link to the live stream they had, the Q&A session, in the description down below. Other than that, let's get started. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let's see how this goes. What a ride it has been, from the praised sandbox paradise of the past to the pay-to-win shit show of yesterday. And now they would change again. ArcheAge Unchained is the name. And on top of the new 6.0 Shadows Revealed update, it's also offering enhanced graphics, new content, a new talent tree, and more importantly, no pay-to-win. Which is, I mean, not quite correct, but we'll get there. I'm Neeko2lo, and I'll try to illustrate the current situation of ArcheAge Unchained and why so many people are dissatisfied with it. Let's begin with my journey. I heard about ArcheAge while being an avid and dedicated BDO player back in the day from people that migrated to BDO from ArcheAge when BDO first released. An amazingly deep sandbox game ruined by pay-to-win, a lot of people said, or BDO copied a lot of systems ArcheAge first introduced, which is actually correct. Well, interesting, but I wouldn't want to touch a game even more ruined by pay-to-win than my current main title, so for the time being I completely dismissed ArcheAge as a whole. Flash forward to around 1 month ago when ArcheAge Unchained caught my attention. Me being a fairly hardcore player, already burned through all of the WoW Classic content available at the time, and I looked around for something new and exciting that I haven't experienced before. So I started engaging Legacy ArcheAge, which is essentially the normal version, the pay-to-win version, you might say. I did that to learn the initial mechanics before the game releases, so I have a little bit of a head start over the people that are new, right? I watched a ton of PvP videos as well, like Enigmatis 4, which was amazing, by the way, and decided to roll a Warborn, focusing around Swiftblade mainly, because that's the new talent tree introduced in 6.0. After the initial legacy testing, PTS was around the corner, after the initial launch delay by 15 days, and unfortunately the first problems started to arise. For example, the ping is affecting my gameplay far too much. If you didn't know already, ArcheAge is notorious for having the engine be affected by ping, resulting in people using abilities almost twice as fast with low ping compared to high ping. If you want to know more details about that, I will leave a link in the video description below. It's actually pretty ridiculous. Or, why is my labor not regenerating? I can't do anything. Why is there no bow and instrument in the weapon box? And of course, the occasional bug, which of course happens on a playtest server. But honestly, as a whole, the combat felt smooth for a tab targeting MMO. 220 different class combinations, PvP everywhere, and the systems in place for professions and discovery were present wherever you looked. After the initial 15-day launch day finally arrived, and I rolled on the most popular and competitive server as always, since I'm fine with queues and I'm fine with going try hard to keep up. But unfortunately, the disconnects did not stop and the queues did not stop either. Massive amount of bugs affecting purchases, labor wasn't initially regenerated unless you opened your pre-order package, which you could only do through the website, and that one was also bugged for a lot of people. Also, Steam release was delayed even further, and for some people to this day, this labor resource that we will talk about later was still not regenerating, and is still not regenerating to this day. There's also a couple of sound bugs, by the way. I mean, but still, for an MMO launch, it went pretty smoothly, and I even went as far as saying that I liked the launch better than the release of WoW Classic, which jinxed myself. This comment was followed by 3 days of constant, seemingly random disconnects, and sitting in queue for hours on end just to keep up. Buzzword grace period, that they still have not even completely developed to this day. Fred over here sat in queue for 3 hours today already, but got disconnected. So he has to sit in another 3-hour plus queue. If there was a grace period, Fred could have just skipped the entire line and just went ahead and played the game. But because the grace period is still not implemented to this day, Fred is sad. Despite all of that, I got level 54 before the first disconnect on the second day. Pretty lucky considering a lot of people couldn't even play the game by that point. Unfortunately though, I had completely forgotten about something that would change the economy and the game itself. The please wash the dishes for 6 hours a day, every day pass. Which introduced 17 additional daily quests to the game. Now you think that isn't that big of a deal, right? Daily quests are nothing new for an MMORPG and also not for ArcheAge. You would have to do 20 plus dailies anyway, ranging from Haram Gear dailies to Guild and Family dailies, Gilda dailies, PvP dailies, Labor PvP dailies, World Boss dailies, Crimson Drift dailies, the list goes on, right? To make matters even worse, the ArchePass would reward both gold and labor. Now this is a big deal, because labor is essentially the mobile game energy mechanic of ArcheAge, where you artificially time gate labor gain as a resource to push customers to pay for more of that energy so you can actually play the game. In our case, this would regenerate 10 labor per 5 minutes, resulting in 2,880 labor a day, roughly. This was the main reason why ArcheAge was paid to win in the first place, back in the day. You need labor for most activities in the game, from chopping down a tree to putting a gem into your weapon, and anything in between. Labor is the foundation of this system, or of the game itself. Now you can't buy labor potions anymore, and therefore having a way to gain labor and gold without spending that very resource is absolutely game-changing. Unfortunately, it gets even worse. There were a couple of ArchePass missions that would just cycle themselves over and over once you complete the first mission of that kind, without exploiting, by the way. These World Boss kill missions awarded 50 gold each, and you could do 17 a day. That's 850 gold in 1 day. To put this into perspective, one ancestral coin purse gives you around 1.5 gold per 35 labor spent. And those will drop from high-level mobs, for example in Aegis Island, or Western Higher Mountains, or Eastern Higher Mountains even. So, to show you how much of an impact this is, let's divide the 50 gold from the World Boss by the 1.5 for each coin purse. Meaning you need 33 coin purses to actually get 50 gold, on average at least. Now we multiply that by the amount of labor each coin purse needs to even be opened, which is 35 in this case, which results in 1,166 labor. That's a lot of labor, right? Now, it gets even worse than this, because you could do this 17 times a day. So you would multiply that by 17, and you have 19,833 labor required to catch up to someone that did 17 World Boss dailies a day with normal means, or let's say coin purse means, which is larceny. Now, this obviously disrupted the entire game's foundation, and with that people would achieve gear levels that wouldn't be possible after a few weeks into the game, and the community was pissed. Luckily, Gamigo jumped in after a couple of days and reduced the gold game from 50 gold to 10 gold, and made those missions not daily, but weekly. 100 weekly missions at that. This obviously did not fix the issue, and after another day or two, disabled the ArchePass completely. Finally, right? We did it! We cried enough! ArchePass, okay, let's keep on going. Now, despite their efforts of fixing or trying to fix this ArchePass in time, we were still left with a fairly damaged economy in most servers, and the gear gap between the players was bigger than ever. At this point, I had lost most of my motivation to try hard and go in, and I wanted to test some other things I had not explored yet, right? I looked towards PvP, which reward system also has a daily limit in some situations, But I got into a pre-made group for Drill Arena and I had a lot of fun, actually. Now, that fun didn't last very long, unfortunately, because I wanted to get into 101 arenas, which for some reason, since day one, were disabled and no one could actually join the queue. I was of course bummed out since that was one of the main features I was looking for, and a 101 arena with a ranking system behind it. Not a lot of other MMOs do that, so that was a very cool feature that unfortunately still, to the day of this recording, is not in the game yet. Despite all of these glaring issues and the occasional Korean language bug that sneaks its way into your game, the game's combat still feels fluid and responsive. The combo and class system makes a very complex interaction between players, and overall, the game's options seem vast, although I hear a lot of very passionate ArcheAge veterans being dissatisfied with the simplified profession system and the sheer lack of labor you have to work with. The labor system was not reworked from the pay-to-win version, so being low on labor is a very common occurrence, actually. But there's one more thing I want to mention that is really grinding my gears, honestly. Are there really no pay-to-win mechanics in ArcheAge? Well, almost. The cash up is not pay-to-win at all, actually, and they emphasize that nothing like that will ever be introduced. But there's one thing that is allowed, and that's having 3 accounts per person, which basically triples your labor and therefore your progression. So there's pay to win just in an indirect, well, way to circumvent the labor system, essentially. So, is there a light at the end of the tunnel? Will ArcheAge Unchained prevail, and will Gamigo and Excel Games pull through to fix the issues in a timely manner? And if so, will that be enough? It's me again, guys. Thank you for watching the video. If you made it this far, thank you for sticking around. I also wanted to mention that I will try to update the comment section below with news regarding the topics we talked about. So everything is still up to date, or, well, if it's not up to date, I will tell you as well. So keep an eye out on the comment section below. And yes, thank you so much for being here, and see you again in the next video. Have a nice day.